Oi, oi, welcome back to the UKLC Week 2, Day 1. We're getting ready to go into Resolve versus London. I think this is two very stacked lineups, and Resolve a team that we have pretty high expectations on, but man, Demvoxney, I remember that second game last week where he just wouldn't die on the Jhin and how much he turned the game. I think this bot lane is so exciting to me. There's a lot of exciting names, but I'm just scrapping the top 6 and just looking right down at the bottom.
Yeah, I really got to agree. I think Yusa fast-legged. You know, Yusa, we had some questions of his Kai'Sa ultimates, but other than that, he played, honestly, had a stellar weekend last week. And, you know, looking towards Demvoxney and Hepe, Demvoxney, brilliant performance both days, even though they didn't quite manage to get the win on that second day. You know, 1-1, still very commendable for the opening week. And as you can see, we're straight into Champion Select. And it's going to be Merpillion not getting his Camille.
It's first banned, actually, in both games today. I know we've seen a lot of attention on the Camille. There goes the Seraphine. Yeah. Pretty much expected. I expect also to see the Olaf show up at some point in this picks and bans. Most likely in this ban phase 1. Lucian also getting removed. We did see Beely actually pilot that to pretty decent success last week. So, again, understandable ban here, but 3 bans left. There's the Pantheon, which we saw slip through in the last game. 2 mixed success. And now it will be the Vayne as the final ban. So banning that away from Demvoxney. I'm curious to see what this final ban is, because Kai'Sa is left open. There it goes. I feel like you could just first pick Olaf, right? Or is this something else?
I'm trying to think outside of the obvious power picks, but I feel like Sof is more than comfortable enough on this Olaf.
Nope, Graves.
Okay, well, not taking the bait. And I mean, that is honestly is fine. It's definitely seen mixed success, the Graves. I think watching the LEC over the weekend, I believe Medic said it held about a 35 to 36% win rate globally, despite its very high presence. So we'll have to see how Resolve do on it. We'll have to see how London feel about their opening rotation. The Jhin is going to be that first pickup, probably the highest priority AD carry with Kai'Sa down, up. And I mean, you know, loads of options. If they want to take the Olaf, PFI can, but into the Graves, it's not always the most positive matchup. You can definitely have some Dragon priority if you've got good lane setup, but can definitely fall off into the Graves.
We have still got that Hecarim left open, and it looks like that is going to be the lock-in for PFI. Over to Resolve now. Just thinking kind of what AD carries are still available. Things like the Misfortune are up. We've seen a lot of like Misfortune and Leona as a combo. So that could be what they decide to go for the side of Resolve. What other AD carries are there in the barrel right now?
I mean, you've got Samira.
Yep, sorry, Samira, yeah.
And actually into Jhin, it's not a terrible matchup, but into Hecarim, it's definitely not great. And the really early lock-in here for the Syndra, and that's just going to make a really powerful mid-jungle 2v2. Very potent R abilities there. Ultimates, just one's point and click. One is, it might as well be point and click. You know, you don't really see Graves ults missed very often. And, ooh, interesting. Gonna get actually this locked in, and we've seen a lot of Gragas over the weekend in quite a few regions, particularly in the top side. That tank variation of Gragas really is a really big menace and can kind of stifle any kind of aggression if it ends up in the top side. But the beauty of this is that, of course, Gragas still works as a flex in the bottom side. So have to see how London actually respond.
Having Blast going flashbacks to
oh no,
day 1 of LEC on the Gragas. Now, that will be the answer out is going to be the Maokai. Obviously flexible. We've seen it in the support and in the top lane. Are we still on last week's patch? I didn't check that before going live.
That's a great point.
Because Mandate got nerfed, and I don't know if we're on Mandate patch.
So my assumption would be, if it's like last split, that we are actually currently on 11.2 this week, and then next week. And if my memory serves me right, looking at the schedule, I believe that is the case. If not, I'm sure we will be told shortly as...
Coming back.
Hey, guys.
Well, we'll give you the rundown of what bans have gone through. So the Leona was just taken away. Not particularly shocked by that one. I did talk about the Leona Misfortune. Alistair is still up as well, so we may see something like an Alistair ban come forward. Over on the side of Resolve, they took away the Twisted Fate. So big one more ban over to London. I actually feel like Alistair's probably the nice one.
Yeah, I mean, because you want to hold this as a flex.
Yeah.
We're on the nerf mandate patch. Okay, good to know. So
pre-nerf. So it's probably Maokai support.
Yeah, most likely going to be this Maokai support. Very oppressive. speaking of the fact that it flexes to 2 top side, as we're actually going to see a Felios ban the way, which I'm actually quite a big fan of here. I think giving over a Felios so far might not be great, especially if this Gragas ends up in the top side and we see a Thresher Felios rotation. That'll be pretty strong here for this Resolve lineup, but Merpillion didn't have a great performance last week on some of these frontliners, so I want to see whether that actually impacts their decision on what they decide to give Merp, whether it's going to be a frontliner or a more carry-oriented champion, as we are just going to see this Zoe locked in for Beely. A lot of respect bans towards him. You see that Galio, the TF removed. TF, he had a pretty damn good performance on, and I don't think we have to remind you guys of that Lucian game either.
Yeah.
As Resolve now looking to most likely lock in their bot lane. I'd imagine they just end up sending the Scrags to the top side, and they are going to lock in the Samira, which honestly, into some of these champions of London, I feel like she can struggle, but we'll have to see how Yusa actually ends up piling her out. And the Alistar is still up, so I'm not going to be too surprised if this one gets locked in.
Yeah, I think that's a real, we'll just jump on you at level 3 bot lane there. But I have to see what the answer will be back from London. If they decide to pick something that can maybe have a little bit more peel, or if they want something that will just turn around with them. So that will be the alley locked in. Now, Tom Kench is open, which is an interesting one here. We did see a hover of the Fresh as well. I feel like Fresh is actually not a bad champion here. Kind of flay the Alistar before he jumps in. But I'm a complete idiot because they locked in the Maokai. So, of course, Maokai's going bot lane. And Merpillion's just going to pick up his Scion.
Maokai can still play top, but I'm just hoping that Merpillion has worked on his frontline play over the last week, because
yes,
it wasn't pretty. You could honestly go as far as making arguments that some of his pre-fight setup, getting caught out, getting chunked out, might have actually lost London. Just saying it, the game really.
Yeah.
And they very easily could have been 2-0 coming into this week. So we'll have to see whether he's worked on it. He is into the Gragas, which honestly, we saw Gragas bullying even the likes of Renekton yesterday or the day before. So this champion isn't necessarily going to give Scion an easy time, but these are our drafts. I'm definitely looking towards this Resolve lineup and saying, I feel like I know how they want to play this game out. With London, you know, they're a little more all over the place, but they've got the front line and they've got some sort of poke damage. I think as long as they execute, they should be fine.
Yeah. But what is the execution? That's the real question.
Yeah.
We're looking at them, it's like, they got a bit of frontline, they got a bit of poke damage. I saw a little bit of a meltdown there, Chimada.
It's all right. So, I mean, if you're London here, I think having priority in the river and playing through mid a priority is going to be a really big thing here. I think having Resolve come into you is definitely a big thing, because Resolve, they don't have great engage. They've got the Gragas cask, they've got Alistar, but, you know, Gragas has to sometimes put himself in precarious positions to get these nicer casks and these higher value casks, and Alistar more or less kind of has to either flash or find a really nice flank. And London, I mean, they've got the front line, they've got their go buttons, they've got Hecarim, they've got Scion, they can just move forward. So if they set up in the river nice and early, they've got the Maokai saplings for zoning, and if they can allow Beely the space to kind of just hop over walls, throw bubbles, throw those paddle stars, and they have the CC follow-up from Denvoxne and curtain calls, Resolve can struggle here, but we'll have to see. I think this mid-jungle duo, Soft Chimera, Grave Syndra, it's going to be really hard to overpower.
Yeah, I think you're right, to be fair there, but gonna have to see how this is going to go down. Be loading onto the Rift fairly soon for our second game of the day. London, you know, they had a pretty rough loss last week. Like you said, kind of Merpillion getting caught out a little bit. Resolve so far 2-0 on the scoreboards, and they are probably the most bigged up, most hyped up team here in the UKLC. So on them to keep that streak going, really, because they're up there with teams like Bulldog, which is something I was kind of surprised to be saying myself. Yeah. But if Bulldog beat Eminem at the end of the day and Resolve lose, Bulldog actually take them in the standings. So it's going to be really important for Resolve to keep this pace going for themselves. So heading to the Rift shortly for this second game.
Yeah, early days in the league, but certainly it would be almost kind of amusing to poke fun at, particularly Soft, as an old player of mine. But here we are, we're on the Rift. Game 2. Both these teams looking to pick up another win. Resolve trying to keep their clean record. London trying to make amends for that second day performance last week. probably feeling like they should be 2-0 up as well as straight 5-man in the bottom lane. Unsure what they were potentially planning, but whatever it is, they are finished with it.
Yeah, looks like they put that one to bed. Just seeing if they could catch somebody out.
Yeah.
But no defensive lines then. For Resolve, they actually don't take the opportunity to head in. Obviously, they didn't know what London were doing, but there was no poking around. So ultimately, nothing really lost here. PFI will burn the sweeper, but there are no wards in the river at all or in the jungle at all. So he's unspotted for the moment, and it's just going to have to be kind of basic knowledge of where they think he'll be starting if they want to track PFI.
Yeah, and take a look at the minimap. It actually looks like Resolve are attempting to split the map here with this late invade. And then Voxney and Hepe are at least going to do a little bit of investigative work. But it seems like this will just be Soph picking up the blue buffer himself. Most likely a lot of this bottom side quadrant. He'll have to keep track of his pathing as now only punishing thing. Resolve bottom lane. Kind of struggle. Yeah. Oh,
fast
no.
leg.
That's unfortunate.
Took both of them as well.
It's nice preemptive from Hepe. And I think fast-legged looks like he only picked up... No, he didn't pick up any XP. I think that little bar there is actually from a minion. From a
ward.
From a ward, yeah.
Yeah. You can be correct, which does mean that Yusa will hit 2 first in this lane.
Yeah.
But London's bot lane will have both of them having level 2 first. So even Yusa with the level lead, still not really enough right now.
And honestly, you know, map state-wise, big win for Resolve. They really don't care about this Krakus Scion lane. So if that stays isolated and they can allow Yusa and Fastleg kind of the room to do whatever they feel like doing, it's definitely a big bonus for them. And if Chimera can win out lane priority here into Beely, they can rotate him down. You can honestly just turn it into repeat dive after repeat dive. It's very easy to take over the game.
That has been the absolute map split as well.
Yeah.
PFI clearing out this top side entirely. We'll head back into his own jungle, and Soph got off all clear of PFI's blue side as well. So both these junglers pretty much aware of that. The difference is PFI actually placed a ward in the jungle. Actually, it wasn't PFI, it was Mapillion who placed a ward in the jungle.
It seems a bit...
Probably will be timing out fairly soon, so probably won't really gain any information off that.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a bit strange to want to dump a ward on that side of the map when you know Graves is probably not gonna show up anytime soon. But yeah, both junglers, just identical paths really. You see Soph here on the bottom Skull Crab. PFI finish up the top one. Let's have mid lane priority, so he's gonna cross over and see what he can find. This is a little bit far up from London.
Yeah, I was thinking that. They just go in for the flash, the flare. Then Voxy has to use the heal, and Jeppe going in forward. When the map is split, it was very greedy, but PFI now looking for Soph. He's going to get slowed down by the sapling. Don't have that W from Voxney, and it is going to go wide. Honestly, London not respecting the fact that the map was split.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, PFI is just coming in to make sure this wave crashes.
I mean, now Soph's here, but the work's already done, fortunately. PFI manages to shove it in fast enough. Because had that lane stayed in that state, having to stay so far up can be a little scary. The fortunate thing is, because of all of these turn of events, it means that PFI is actually able to farm his bottom side jungle, and the map is no longer in a vertical split.
Yeah.
So then Voxney and Hepe will feel a little more comfortable laning for the next couple of minutes. As you can see, the problem with this lane as the Scion, try and charge a Q, and Gragas will just hit you with his belly.
Is out of mana, but Mapillion doesn't really have the health or the damage to really kill him himself.
Definitely a little slower than last game's early game, that's for sure.
There was a play bot lane, but I felt like that play was an opportunistic play considering the state of the map and real disrespect from London.
Yeah, certainly disrespect. Which is very fortunate that there was actually mid lane priority and PFI had crossed over, because had he not been there, definitely could have turned into something a little bigger or a little worse for London than it ended up being. We're curious to see, though, who has this priority on the dragon, who actually wants the dragon a little more, because, you know, PFI, he's not likely to have level 6 until he starts farming his next rotation of camps. And you can see Soft's pathing down to the bottom side already. And with Beely shoving in that wave in around sort of 60 seconds or so, maybe even a little less than that, Chimera can actually have a wave bounce back into Beely. And Resolve will have mid lane priority. You can see the wave crashing in here now. So again, it's the same thing. In around 60 seconds, if London don't really contest the wave coming back out, they can actually stack this wave up and they can have both the waves crash in at the same time, and Soft can just pick up the dragon pretty much for free. But we are talking into the future. You can see a lot of the pings and priority seems to be the case, though, that Resolve do want this pickup. As, oh, Ghost. Picked up, I believe.
Yeah, it was a picked up Ghost. Actually has a spellbook on cooldown, so it might have actually been a real Ghost.
Could have been the spellbook.
It was a real Ghost.
Catch. Okay.
Really doesn't have the wave really set up for himself. Chimera able to shove it in, and the fight for Crab begins. Teleport available on neither of the top laners.
Yeah.
And so, this may just be the Crab secured.
The problem here, Hiprain, is that Yusa was left unattended on that bottom wave. So eventually then Voxney had to go and answer. And it means that London kind of just have to give up priority. Otherwise, then Voxney ends up missing what was a fairly sizable wave. And this should just be the dragon, not uncontested, potentially, as PFI hits level 6, but seems like the answer or the call is, nope, we're not going to contest this one. Give it over. Let Resolve get their hands on it. It's not worth flipping the fight right now. It will just be them picking up that mountain dragon. But all in all, very nice sort of minion management there, as there you go, Artorias. Bop.
It's so obnoxious. It's so obnoxious.
And the worst part about it is the cooldown of Sion's Q and Gragas's E when you actually use it are about the same. When you hit
there's like a slight lead from Apillion on this Q cooldown, but it's only ever so slightly. So you have a very short window to attitude punish or use your Q effectively.
Yeah, it's, as you say, obnoxious is the correct descriptor there.
However, Apillion doing a pretty decent job making himself relevant in the farm department.
Yeah, last week on this Sion, he was getting bullied, actually. He wasn't really allowed to lane. And I mean, it's kind of just because it was the set lane too. Yuna in that game, completely different state to what we have here. Yuna didn't really have a bot lane to play to early on, as London were really putting the work in to delay Spark scaling. Not quite the case in this game. So he is able to at least keep up in CS this time around. And that's Bubble. Not going to quite connect. And Chimera's going to pick up that wave, and Soft pathing up to the Herald now, as PFI on the opposite side actually pathing back to his bottom side. So he's going to be a little slower to the top side if he is just going to go for this clear up, and Soft actually beelining for the Herald. And with top lane priority and Merp looking like he wants to reset, seems like that's going to be the green flag. Even calling over Chimera, despite not having mana right now, but numbers are numbers.
Far,
yeah.
It's just been London quite happy sitting back, but the objectives and just the map control has been in favor. However, PFI snuck his way in there.
There was actually a missing ping on that bush. And
Well, I think he must have just been seen.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know actually how.
I'm sad we don't have a replay that could show us the vision.
Yeah, that was some 6th level of game knowledge.
He might have been seen by the minions as he made his way into the bush.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the only thing I can assume. But PFI just lost a lot of time.
I mean,
he didn't find the kill. He didn't get anything for his team. And on the other side of the map, Soft and Chimera pick up the Rift Herald. And
so it's not actually as terrible as it may seem, because he didn't actually have any jungle camps up, and he realistically wasn't gonna contest this Herald. At that time, or at least, because Merp was chunked out, Beely looked like he was on a reset. So, you know, realistically, it's like, okay, we're not contesting Herald, let's make a play bot. As if I'm reading into it, London most likely assumed that Soft was going to be on the top side with Artorias on that priority lane. So it's not the biggest time sink in the world, but you definitely want to get some kind of payoff there, as little bit of a convergence on the mid lane is not going to amount to much.
Yeah, Chimera with Cleanse and Flash just feels quite hard to actually punish. He can clear the waves away with relative ease at the moment. He's got the tier, he's got the blue buff, so it's just able to cut through those waves. And now another mid convergence is coming forward onto a member who doesn't have Cleanse. There's Impilin winning a trade when he uses the butt. Okay, don't worry.
You were saying?
I take it back. Oh, no,
hey.
Impilin. Does he get the graph?
Okay.
He does. Okay, don't worry.
And it's
My
back.
God.
Welcome to Gragas top lane, everybody. If you've not had the opportunity to witness it firsthand. I'm not sure, is ProView still a thing, right?
ProView?
Yeah, ProView.
I believe it is.
Yeah. If you've not had the opportunity to watch any ProView Gragas players in the LEC or the likes, it looks a little something like that, except you've got the actual game HUD up and not the scoreboard and everything else that comes with it.
i.e. not much happens. Jeppe, playing with fire there.
Yeah.
Soft was on a ward, so he did know to step back. But I think if Soft wasn't on that ward, they may have gone for that.
Yeah, definitely may have. Some of the positioning has been a little optimistic.
Yeah.
From this London bottom lane here and there, as Soft is going to take a bite out of PFI's health bar. And that, it's not really going to amount to too much right now. Just going to jostle over some vision. And this is pretty important for London. If they can secure the crab and some of this river priority, having to walk into Zoe bubbles and Maokai saplings is going to be a big nuisance. But Resolve, they've rotated their top laner over. Same with London, but they're buying the mid lane priority, and they're the ones with Herald. So
yeah,
London on a bit of a time potentially, but they're going to hold on to the Herald Resolve.
The slow away with the barrel. Jeppe has the Nature's Grasp. As Zatorius is caught out by the Deadly Flourish. PFI is on this Dragon, and Resolve go, you know what? Not interested. Dragon will get traded out. The bubble does connect by Beely. I don't think he's going to follow that, though, as there is a Alistair about.
Yeah, a little bit slow to the call, I feel like, Resolve. In all honesty, they had the mid lane priority. They could have just sacked the Dragon and actually traded some mid lane plates for it, but they get the mid lane priority and decide, hey, we've rotated Artorias over. We probably want to fight, right, guys? And not really able to walk in. Too much zone control from this Maokai, from the Zoe, all of that sort of just pressure of not wanting to get clipped by a bubble or slowed up by the sapling, and then a Deadly Flourish means a lot. So for now, bit of a delayed cross map. Taking that red, and I'm not sure if they were able to take the chicken camp too. I wasn't quite paying attention to that, but London, they have the Dragon in their back pocket, so it means no early soul. The Herald is going to get dropped here, and I suppose argument is this is the delay trade, right? Should just about secure 2 plates, almost 3, as
you do get
Soft
3.
Soft makes sure that gold is converted, so about 500 give or take gold into the back pocket. I think more like 460. My maths is sometimes a little bit off, so just bear with me. Net positive gold trade. Obviously, losing out on the Dragon is not ideal. As you can see, some of the gold on our screen relatively even across the board, actually.
Yeah, and I mean, no first blood so far. We're 14 minutes into this game. Plates have fallen off. The plates have fallen before a player has. Very calm. Impressive. And I want to ask, who do you think this actually favors? Are both teams okay with the chilling out for now? Or is there one team who are ultimately coming out ahead because of the fact the game is slowed pace?
I'm actually not entirely sure. I feel like the scaling is relatively even, but Jin will certainly eclipse Samira in power. So if then Voxnay is allowed to kind of just exist, and he's given the space to actually pop off some auto attacks, especially once he eventually gets towards things like the rapid fire cannon, feel like it may just end up favoring London. You can see he's got the Gale Force in inventory already. We've got a lot of mythics actually finished up across the board.
Yeah, items are starting to come in. The Trinity Force, the Ludens, and the Gale Force on the side of London. Over on the side of Resolve, they have a Ludens, a Gale Force, a Leandries, and a Mortal Shield Bow. I almost called it a recurve bow for a minute.
Recurve bow still in the game. Actually survived the purge. Nice bubble.
Unfortunately, the paddle sword not quite as nice.
Yeah.
Do you know what I miss? The one thing I actually This is the old Presence of Mind. Not old Presence of Mind, but like the second iteration of Presence of Mind.
Like the most recent one that
yeah, it was removed. The one that gave you permanent mana or energy.
Yeah, that felt good. Down. Yeah, definitely. Those energy users definitely felt that.
Oh,
that had to feel terrible if you're in a Kali or a Zed main or.
I played Zed the other day and I was like, oh,
it's just not the
doesn't
same.
Feel the same.
Yeah, it's really not the same. Soft picks up that second Herald. Probably going to try and pop mid. Yeah, first blood on the bottom side.
Wait, Den's dead. He flashed. He belly bopped. He had to get forth. He's not getting out from this one. Notorious finds first blood.
I would be curious to know whether that's the latest first blood of the split here, as the response is going to be taking down this mid tier 1 tower. And yeah, then Voxley had to have just stepped up a little too far, or maybe Artorias was playing on Fog. It's hard to know, but Big Belly Man are actually not seeing the tank iteration of Gragas here. It's going to be the full AP version, so definitely a little scarier on those full combos. As with the mid lane tier 1 taken down, it's be curious to see how it actually impacts the overall map state. Whether Resolve start catching the wave super high up and try and choke out London from some of these jungle camps is normally the goal. As both teams actually taking a relatively on-time reset for this next objective in this Ocean Dragon. But it's going to be London for now with this river priority forcing in mid.
Key thing to note is Flash Shield now down onto Voxley.
Yeah.
The Flash by Artorias was used. However, I believe it can... Oh, I might have to hold that for a moment. PFI. Getting jumped onto. Big combo from Artorias, and that's all they needed. Papillion might just be finding himself a little bit of poke. Puts the shield on with the Blood Furnace though to keep himself alive. Notorious continuing to look for people. Bubble's going to connect as he belly bops away a little bit. Crab's secured and Beely just looking to poke. Beely has a Gale Force. Zoe things. Jeppe getting chunked out pretty heavily there. And Papillion now getting jumped onto by the Resolve ADs. Here comes the charge. Here comes the flank. They're trying to turn it around, but Papillion misses everyone. The grasp is thrown out by Jeppe. Resolve still has the area in their control. A Gale Force forwards by Yusa, and that is Jeppe going down. The Inferno trigger by Yusa will come forward. He secures himself the kill. Beely looking for a bubble, looking for an opening. Papillion, zombie form's going to time out, and Beely and Den will have to do some serious work to keep this going, but they're not going to even bother. Resolve get themselves the dragon. And London lose the fight. It's 4-0 on the scoreboard right now.
Yeah, and honestly, that looked like it could have been a promising fight for London, but Papillion just decides to score a goal with his Scion Armor, completely whiffs on everybody. And when Resolve chased into the Scion like that, it actually gave London the opportunity to walk in past the choke pretty much uncontested. And from that point, it's like, okay, Merp can pull the trigger, and all of a sudden it's actually turned into a flank engage. But Resolve just dodge out, Papillion misses, and it's a very nice combo from Artorias to lock up the London members in the river. And they just end up wiping. Yusa also managed to pick himself up some kills in a pretty separated fight. I didn't quite get to catch the top side of what was going on because Chimera did end up pretty damn chunked. Blew his ultimate, but Resolve, they pick up the Ocean Dragon, they pick up the kills. Give themselves about 2,000 gold lead. And honestly, the way the last sort of three skirmishes have gone, could just see this trend continue, as this is a long lane. But Merp has a lot of HP.
He has the slow. He's trying to interrupt. He's able to find it. Merp slowed down, has to flash away. So he takes some serious damage there on the tail end.
Yeah, Graves is also a strong champion. Gale Force. So many build options, really, for this champ. As we can see, Gold Graph, big eruption towards the end. Right there, ballooning from maybe 1,000 to almost triple that. And London, honestly, Beely could be in trouble, maybe, but that tower should just about provide enough safety.
Yeah, I think Beely's going to be fine. In fact, Fast Leg might take a little bit of poke here.
Maybe.
Got a little bit by Chimera onto Jeppe. Does have that unleashed power. Soft can slide in. One last Q might just be enough. Get a lot of damage off.
Okay.
Ult back by Soft to keep himself safe as Curtain Call comes out and Fast Leg will be the one to tank this. Guerrero takes that 4th shot to the face, but didn't really sink quite as much damage as he would have liked there.
Yeah. And it's just so tough for London to really find a foothold here on the map as Soft. Ooh.
BD is bubble. BD gets chunked.
Nah, simple as that.
Oh,
as
no.
Merp,
he actually cast him back there under the tower.
yeah,
Took a tower shot. He has a lot of CDR. He is just dead.
Take me away.
No, he's... Oh! Okay, now he's dead. He bought time for PFI to come in. And Torres flashes away, gets the belly bop and the slow off, but here's the charge, here's the shutdown. PFI cashes in on the kill.
Merp. Up in the long lane, getting caught out 1v1. Does at least allow PFI to come slip in and pick up the shutdown, which certainly closed the gold gap as Sof has been silently building up a CS lead against his counterpart.
Yeah, pretty significant lead as
yeah,
well.
Before that shutdown.
Gold, 1,900, almost a 2k gold lead in the jungle there.
I mean, he's second most amount of gold in the game, only behind Artorias.
Well, this is probably one of the more tame games we've had here, this split, and I think one of the things to do is kind of just take a bit of a step back and see where we actually are in the game state. We talk about the fact that the junglers have there's a pretty big lead for Soft. He's now got the Collector and the Gale Force finished up.
Sorry, I always get hyped when I get the counter. I apologize.
We got the Cosmic Drive and the Ludens with the cooldown boots. I think that means he's rocking like 60 ability haste now.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a bit.
It's 30 from Cosmic Drive. Ludens is 20. Oh, don't worry.
So, question right there. Did Hepe actually get to interact with anybody from Resolve? No. Did he still die anyway? Yeah. Power of the Grave Syndra duo is if the Syndra can't finish off a kill, I'm sure the Graves almost certainly will. As seen in practice right there. London trying to force mid lane priority, but they're not going to have numbers advantage for this if they try. So,
Very forced to flash. Teleport's coming in. Fastnet goes in for the head. Yusa just goes for the wall. Pillion's interrupted before he can charge, and Yusa takes him out. Gonna look for Artorias in zombie form, but not going to be able to find too much there.
Yeah,
Fastnet forces dead to flash. Fastnet missed his combo, but, you know, flash for flash. I think he's
Cowbell.
Yusa trolling him a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm getting way too excited for Cow. Honestly, anything will get me excited in this game. It's a slow. We're
just waiting for that caffeine injection.
Yeah.
That is the big 5-on-5. I worry though with the gold lead right now and the fact that the items that have come in. I don't think the 5-on-5 is going to be particularly fair.
No. I mean, honestly, props to Resolve. This is a much cleaner.
Oh, PFI.
Iteration. Oh, no.
Oh, PFI. Oh, no.
I think
so free.
Honestly, I think
so free.
I think everyone wants to be out of this game at this point. Okay. Resolve
US being down a lot has really started.
Yeah.
My lord. Soft, that was optimistic. Flashes the wall. The curtain call is onto him. Yusa gobbles it up with the Blade Whirl, and the pair of them just dash over the wall. 80 carries are super mobile at the moment.
Yeah, Soft, I don't know. He must have somewhere to be. He's trying to do
the
that.
Uber Eats is on the way.
Okay. I mean, we saw though, if he wasn't exhausted, then Voxney, there's a real risk he dies. So that was legitimately scary.
Yeah, no, he got super close to dying there.
Yeah. If that exhaust was not there from Hepe, realistic chance. You just death chamber time for the AD carry of London. But before Artorias gave us that beautiful circus of top lane show, as he may be giving us a little more.
He does have Cask and Flash, so how many ability ace he has? He just has to hit one ability, Cosmic Drive procs in. He's got Phase Rush as well. He's going to be so speedy.
Yeah, he is going to be very fast. But I want to say we've had pretty high expectations of this Resolve roster, and last week definitely make the argument that some of those expectations may not have entirely been met, but this time around, a little more concentrated. Honestly, Resolve seem like they have far more control of this game than they've had of any other game, or any of their other 2 games, because we are still in week 2. Definitely a step in the right direction. And in all honesty, it's difficult for London to get back into a game like this when Resolve play a very strong sort of fog of war-esque style where they just shove in the waves and you just see they'll just dip into a war like this and they just clear out vision. They know what their strong side is. They play to it. And London can't really, or never have really been afforded the opportunity to respond. So
yeah,
definitely hats
absolutely.
off. Honestly, hats off to Resolve for the gameplay so far. I know we've made many a meme. Let's go.
Oh, he didn't catch out that time. Look how speedy he is. Cosmic Driver Phase Rush means that fat man is so quick.
Yeah.
Notorious has just got infinite ability haste. It's getting knocked up, and the grass proc from Imperium gives him a little bit extra health.
Yeah, I wonder, as a grass connoisseur, I wonder how many grass stacks that Mercs actually managed to farm off of Artorias.
Is that a thing our observer can show us? I don't know if it can.
I'm not sure if the observer tool actually like supports it.
Well, we're on a Artorias at the moment, so we need to get a Merp.
Yeah, we need Merp.
Oh, because he can. Wait, has Denvoxy got 0 Dark Harvest stacks?
Oh no,
that is tragic.
He's okay. Wow. So he's nearly stacked up Bloodline, which, by the way, Bloodline is the hardest of the stacking precision trees to actually get to like max stack. And he's nearly stacked that before he's gotten a Ravenous Hunter stack, an Eyeball, or even the Dark Harvest stack. Well, Observer, we asked for Merp, but you've exposed Denvoxy for his Dark Harvest stacks. And all right, let's get back into the game a little bit because we are approaching probably a pivotal moment here. This Ocean Soul Spawn. Okay, well, Artorias is teleporting in.
Just on this.
That's a fast fat
Here comes the fat man. Denvoxy has to Gale Force away, and the fight is on. Bubble does connect by Beely, but it's only onto the support, not really the target they need. PFI being chased out by Sloth as he jumps in forwards. Beely gets the paddle start onto one and takes a fair amount of damage as Chimera gets a 2-man scatter of the week. Unleash Power hits Jeppe. Incest down on cooldown for the moment. Health bar's low on London. But remember, if Resolve get this is just soul for them right now. In London, the chokehold is really starting to take a grip. As Merc taking a fair amount of damage, trying to dodge as much as possible, but he's cooking to this Leandres. Here comes Fast Legs onto the flank, looking for the play, gets the pole. The Nature's Grasp will lock him in place. Yusa goes in with the Blade Roll. Yusa has to flash away. Health bars are low on both sides as the Scatter of the Week is, not the Scatter of the Week, the Scatter of the Cask is going to send Denvoxy out of ultimate. And London can continue to chase for a bit, but it is getting dangerous right now. The Scatter of the Week does connect onto Merc. Beely has a flash. Dragon's getting secured, and London, this is just going to be soul given over to them as Resolve pick it up. London unable to answer out.
Yeah, and it's just real nice from Resolve, finding all of these nice bits of chunk damage and poke damage into London, and they weren't really able, London, to ever really retaliate. Fast Leg, gonna lose a lot of health, but they do have that beautiful thing called an Ocean Soul. We are on an Ocean Rift map, so if you want to pick up those plants, you could.
Even in all of that fighting, even with all of those low health bars.
Oh, no.
Look at just bottom left of your screen. Denvoxy still got 0 Dark Harvest stacks.
Hey, at least he's healed 547.
Actually, that's kind of our overlay actually means you can't see the bottom part of the extended...
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, I can tell you, he's got 298 on Presence of Mind.
Yeah, and he's not actually had a takedown yet. So that literally means he's hit someone with an ability, and throughout this game, it's given him more or less 10 mana a minute. Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like we're bullying Denvoxy's runes right now, but it's really not his fault.
No, I mean, like, he's died, sure, but, like, he's spawned up a storm. He's got 50 CS over Yusa right now. He's got actually 3 items on the Jhin. You can actually see the gold. Thank you very much for toggling that, Observer. It's very narrowly ahead for Den at the moment. The problem he has is Artorias just makes it impossible for a Jhin to navigate these fights. And same with fast legs on the Alistar. There's so many oppressive champions that keep him pinned away from being able to either stand still long enough to cast his ultimate and get a good channel off, or if he gets into the range of the fight, he's going to get flash, belly bop, flash, headbutt, polved, unleashed, powered. It's just so hard as it is starting to feel harder and harder. There is a bit of scaling elements here as Artorias actually pops Merc back and just constantly CCing him here. The phase rush is on and God.
What the?
That was cyberbullying. That was straight up. How much ability haste has he got?
Good question. Let's take a look.
It doesn't show. Oh yeah, there's a bug. Hover over it with a mouse. We'll see if that shows us.
I would imagine it does. I mean, maths tells me he's got what, 20, 30. Does New Zonia's have haste on it? It does, right?
Yes.
It has 10. Or 15.
20, doesn't it?
It might even be 20. All in all, Artorias should have in the ballpark of around 80 ability haste, which brings him to like give or take 45-ish% CDR of old. Consequence is he likes to belly bop a lot. That's what you get out of that build.
It's a bit different because old CDR had like a fall off, didn't it? The current like ability haste doesn't have a fall off, so 45% CDR is actually more than 45 would have been, if I'm right.
So it scales down. So the more ability haste you purchase, the less efficient it is. So like if you buy like a Fiendish Codex, which I want to say gives you a flat 10 ability haste still, that'll give you about 9% CDR, maybe 10% CDR. But if you then buy a Kindle gem, you might only end up with about 17% CDR. So you can see it kind of slowly like has diminishing returns. But you have that flat 20% haste, but that calculates out to about 17% CDR, 18% CDR.
Well, it feels like Soft's
he's had
here, and he needs to speed this game up. So Baron's going to get started. Spotted out by the Scryers. Fast legs in the bush, and Beely maybe looking for someone here. Mapillion does have the ultimate, and Baron's going to get reset. Look for fast leg. No flash available, so he can't actually quite jump in yet. And this has been an incredibly tame game. We've had a lot of time just to chat. 33 minutes on the clock. Ocean Soul in Resolve. So doing that Baron actually just isn't costly to them because they can just heal up.
Yeah.
Are we going to see someone hit level 18 before we see more than 10 kills in this game?
Yeah, I mean,
Artorias is 17 right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think... How much XP is Artorias away? I would imagine he's like halfway to 18 by now, surely. Even Use is getting a lot of solo XP. But I mean, then Voxnay's been getting a lot of solo XP too, apparently, because they're both level 15.
I like his QSS pickup, actually, for him.
Yeah, it's a pretty... Oh my god, he is almost there. That wave will probably give it to him. Cannon wave will give him a lot of
Is he just waiting in fog of war?
I mean, so here's the thing. He's currently on weak side. Guys, are we disconnected or are we just... Okay. London. Yeah, just kind of brute forcing in.
Oh, Den does a lot of damage.
Yeah, this is the thing. So, like, we've not really been able to see it because these guys don't actually feel like fighting a whole bunch. So, we might see something change here. Soften Chimera. Waiting in some fog. Chimera, I'm not sure if he... all right.
Jeppe, you good, Chief?
Yeah,
I think this might be them in a whole lot of trouble. Beely has to flash away.
That's not the blast.
Fear5's looking to run away. Soft actually jumps in. Mapillion's trying to get the charge off. The curtain call has come down, and maybe finally we might just see a Dark Harvest stack come forward. Nope, misses that shot. But look at Artorias on that flank, looking to deal with the members. The bubble zoning him away for the moment. It's going to take a little bit of damage over the walls. Mapillion's still standing in the middle of everyone, looking for the knock-up. There's the Dark Harvest stack for Den Voxney. Mapillion loses his life for it as Yusa unleashes the Furno trigger. Karski's going to hit, and Den Voxney's going to get chunked. Oh, the assassination! Artorias finds the kill. And this is it. Beely gets the bubble, and the belly bop's not going to quite hit its mark as PFI is running to the wind with that charge, but Yusa will hunt him down. Kicked up, and the combo's ready to throw out as the Infernal Trigger is pulled, and Yusa finds the kill. This is going to be Elder Dragon over to Resolve.
We finally get a fight, Jake. We finally get a fight. And it results in Resolve most likely taking everything here. They've got the Elder in pocket. They should pretty much pick up this Baron for free. If London even try, it would be very much this game for London to now decide, hey, you know what? Let's try and take this fight, but not a chance in hell they should get this Baron.
I mean, the magic shred that is actually allowing Jeppy to pretty chunk out Artorias here. Constantly throwing the saplings over the wall.
Should be done, though. Oh, Beely.
Spotted out, don't worry. They're going to throw the Nature's Grasp, trying to get a bit of a zone here.
Oh,
they are just hunting down this poor Zoe. Beely comboed up. Gonna lose his life as the scout of the week. Tries to portal jump away, but not going to be enough. There's the Baron. There's the Elder. And Resolve. They may just have done it.
I think this should... Oh, everywhere. Okay. One more row?
Yeah, I mean, with the gift of the Elder, it is just not going to happen. And this is London actually getting a kill back in response.
Yeah. I don't think this is
second kill of the game.
Yeah, second kill of the game, 36 minutes in. It's not going to feel great to pilot, but there you go. This can be League of Legends, everybody. You do get these very long burnouts, and I think London might just be ready to throw in the towel at this point. 14-2 in kills, 10,000 gold lead, sole Elder Baron. Does it get much more oppressive than this? I think the answer is probably no. Resolve just rotating towards each lane. And that's going to be the second inhibitor. And Resolve can realistically do whatever they want. If they want to stick around, I don't think being at a numbers disadvantage would even matter a whole bunch, but they want to play it safe. I think that's been the theme of the game.
Yusa wants to go full build before this Nexus explodes. Are we having another game where every structure will fall?
It's looking like it.
Well, Taurus has actually got the Medjais now.
Cheeky. I mean, to be fair, he will probably stack it in the next fight, which will end up likely being the last fight of the game anyway.
Yeah.
All right, London.
Maybe a little something up here. Den Voxney leading the charge is a little worrying. Fastback spots out Jeppe.
Right.
And I think Jeppe is dead.
Yep. Thumbs up. Missing.
Yeah, I mean, I would be missing ping if I was on the side of London. I know it wasn't actually London, but Yusa might be getting jumped onto here. The charge is going to connect. He does have a GA. They do have teleports to work as he blade wells away from some of the damage. Den has to put some different sounds, and Yusa doing some serious work here. Den with a fourth shot. He hit the minion!
No!
I mean, I'm just going to...
Look away. Soft solo kills my opponent.
I'm tilted for Den Voxney.
All right, get me out, man. I've had enough.
That's enough League of Legends for the day.
Look,
Resolve. Honestly, a very controlled game from them. They played a slow choke style, like you said, playing in that fog of war. And London just kind of rolled over. It really was no fight put up at all here. All the structures crumble. And at 38 minutes,
not again.
The longest game we've had this split. Resolve take the win over London.
I was worried. Jake. I was worried there for a moment we was going to get a repeat of that week 1 fountain dive. But yeah, no. Very, very long, drawn-out game. If you can't tell in the tone of our voices, that was a game. It was a game.
Then
but yeah, I mean...
He got the rapid-fire stack, and he went to auto-attack and hit a bloody minion with that 4th shot.
It's just salt in the wound.
I feel his pain. I feel his pain.
Salt in the wound. I feel the pain too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, bright side for Resolve, even though, you know, it doesn't get much more bright side than winning a match day, but that game was it was clean, but if you're being critical, a game state like that shouldn't take 40 minutes to close out.
Yeah. I think there was a lot of hesitation from Resolve, but ultimately, it doesn't really matter. They beat out London. They got themselves their 3rd win here at the UKLC. And with that is going to be us going to a quick break. We'll be back after these ads for an interview and a breakdown further of that Resolve victory. See you in a second. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the UKLC. We had a pretty convincing win by Resolve. Like you said, maybe that game shouldn't have been almost 40 minutes, but it was a very controlled game from them, and they basically just choked out London. London just never could fight. Every time they tried to fight, Resolve just walked away, and they'd only ever fight them on their terms. And it just felt like London just didn't have a game plan.
Yeah, that's one of those games where, as an analyst, or even hell, if I'm the head coach of London, I don't even know how you begin to approach that game, because it was just a burnout. London, as soon as it got to around that third dragon, and London found no real in, Resolve just straight up choked them out. From then on, I think Resolve, big step up from last week in terms of actually showing a little bit more discipline, which is obviously the big takeaway. But when you've got that big of a lead, you can definitely take more liberties. And whilst I definitely respect the sort of safer play, man, I think taking 40 minutes to close out a game like that, still maybe something to work on there. From London's perspective,
to me, it looked like Resolve were trying something a little bit new, and London were the people who had to deal with that.
Yeah,
there were obviously no risks being made there at all. Resolve just wanted to close that game out. I think for them, it's okay. How can we speed that up? Because everything was right. They did everything right. They had Ocean Soul for ages.
Yeah,
like honestly, an incredibly long time. And it felt like once they got the Ocean Soul, they just stopped pressuring until an objective came up, and it was like, all right, take Ocean Soul, wait for Baron. Take Baron, use the Baron, now wait for the next Baron spawn, wait for the Elder spawn. And they would only ever do stuff when they had one of those big buffs in their pocket. Even though they had a massive gold lead, and they honestly could have forced in a 1-3-1 or just kind of honestly grouped up as 5 and just pushed it through the ARAM almost. Like, it felt like their lead was strong enough to be able to do that, but they didn't want to take any risks. They didn't want to give any opportunities for London to get back into that. And in a way, it also gave London an opportunity to come back into that. Devoxy farmed the Storm up. And as much as we can criticize him for that bot play, it didn't really matter. Like, he was still capable of doing damage. Yeah. Just every time there was a fight, Artorias was there to make sure Devoxy didn't get to play. And that was the biggest problem.
Yeah.
London were fed, but the members playing Interruption meant that London couldn't actually use their gold at all.
Yeah, I think Resolve used those disruption tools to great effect. Artorias was almost always using his cask on Voxnay, so Voxnay would always have to sit really far back or just run that risk of either getting knocked in, knocked away, not being able to cast his ultimate a few times. So all in all, from the individuals of Resolve, you could see definitely, far more tempered, but at the same time, you could almost see the frustration in some of their plays coming out around the map during some of those more I'll say as it was. We had some boring stints in that game, but
we had our moments. We had
our moments. Yeah.
We do have an interview coming forward with Fastleg in a moment. We are just waiting to get him all sorted out. So we are just going to talk a little bit more about that game. And I think the bigger thing to talk about is how that affects where we are right now. So Enclave got a win in our first game over Demise. Demise now 0-3 in the standings. Resolve pretty much expected really to be 3-0 right now, but London 1-2. This is a team that I did not expect to see go 1-2. So
yeah,
honestly, there's still some stuff to work on here.
Yeah, definitely some stuff to work on. London's early game performance, at least last week, was pretty stellar, pretty top notch. But this week, into a much more tempered Resolve, you could see, if Resolve were willing to make an early game sacrifice, they'll do it. But London weren't really able to say, all right, my turn now. Resolve just kind of took control from then on.
All right, well, we actually do have Fastleg standing by for an interview. Fastleg, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just my camera just thought it doesn't want to work. So
you're just an egg right now. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
well, we're talking to an egg. I want to ask you about what was the plan going into that game? Did you intend that game to be so slow and controlled, or what was the thought process in the game?
Well, our original plan was, at least end the game before 30 minutes, because our last 2 games were 30 minutes plus, which is pretty tragic. But the issue we were finding was we actually haven't scrimmed against Maokai and Zoe. So playing against them and trying to set up against them as like a almost full melee, it's really difficult to get it going. And obviously we haven't practiced against it, so we were trying to like find out what to do in game. Like it was like we were practicing in game against them. So yeah, that's trouble.
That makes a little more sense, because definitely from our perspective, we was like, guys, you slap them a little bit with the wallet.
Yeah.
You guys, you had the gold lead, you had the map state lead, but yeah, I think you still did. You made the right choice in respecting the poke there. But you know, towards at what point did you feel like the game was actually over? Did you kind of just know from like 20 minutes or so?
I think the game was over after we took the soul. It was like it just came down to whether we can just end it or not. I mean, they never really tried to fight us, and when they did, they were always scattered. So it was like we would pick off Scion over and over, or maybe Zoe gets his flash burn and then Zoe can't play the game. But it was just after the soul, it was pretty easy to play out, but we just obviously didn't play against their comp, so it was pretty rough.
Well, Fast Egg, I'd love to talk to you more, but your game is so blooming long, we've run off schedule. So we're going to have to love you and leave you there. Congratulations on your win. And for all you guys at home, we still have more League of Legends to come. We've got 2 more games coming up after the break. It's going to be Barrage versus Envision. So we will see you for game number 3.